Guys, just wanted to give you a little tour of the garden. Everything's doing pretty good. If it'd warm up some and get done with this cold spell, everything would probably start growing a lot better. Like the corn and tomatoes and peppers and stuff, squash. It's not cold enough to really kill any of it, but it sure is cold enough to keep it from doing a lot of growing. See all the peppers in there, all down through there and stuff. They're still pretty tiny. All those little peppers. Like I said, the temps need to warm up and it'd be doing a lot better. And I do practice no-till methods, but as you can see, there's plenty of weeds for me to have to go. Here's a little pile right here. And I'll go through and just pick them up, toss them on the top, they die off. They're not rooted very well, so they pulled out real easy. But it's still, there's weeds. So if people tell you there's no weeds in no-till, well, they're lying and trying to make it sound like they're doing something better that you're just never going to be able to achieve. Because I've been doing it going on 3 years now in these spots, and I still have weed pressures. It's nothing crazy, it's just this stuff here, and it pulls right out, roots and all. Pretty easy. You just toss it on top and it dies. But there's still weeds, guys. Still weeds. But I'll show you the difference in the beds that don't have anything on them. Now these have been uncovered. Clearly, a lot more weeds. Now, the crabgrass, well, even when I get a thick layer of mulch down, the crabgrass does not die off. It's still there. Even if you can't see it, it's still alive under the soil with the way it grows, and it'll send up little shoots eventually that you'll see and have to pull them, and you stay on top of it and you can really keep it at bay. But even then, there's nothing I can do that I've been able to do successfully to make my garden weed free. Now I've thought about spending a couple $100 on landscape fabric, but this one plot right here where you see just this little deal here up there around the border right here, this is about 30 foot by 50 foot is about the size of it all, and it would take about $170 in landscape fabric just to cover that. And I've got 3 or 4 garden beds, maybe 5 if I put everything together, that would be about the same size. I mean, now you're talking freaking dang near $1,000 just to cover this in landscape fabric. And then, I mean, it would be weed free, but even then, I see people that do that, and where they cut their holes to put their plant starts in, they still have weeds coming up out of there, grass and stuff like that. Now it makes it really easy to stay on top of it and keep them down, but still weeds wherever that landscape fabric is not at. So I don't know if there is truly a method that is weed free. Maybe very minimal weeds, easy to deal with, very manageable. But some blueberries real quick, another start off of it. But yeah, I really don't know if there's a weed free style of gardening, unless you're doing a lot of tilling along your rows and keeping that down, but then you still got to go in between your plants and with either a hoe or by hand. So you're always going to be doing something to keep up with the weeds. But I just figured that'd be a quick little video. Then I'll show you a big difference over here. I don't have nowhere near as much mulch and stuff down here. You can see where all of this grew back up, where I didn't come in and put a second layer of cardboard and compost. And this was all covered for up until, I don't know, late September, early October of last year, I had plastic on all this too, because I do tarp as well. I keep plastic down in the winters and falls, and like this is going to be down all summer because I'm prepping this little spot in between these two beds, and that'll be down all summer. I'll pull it back in the fall, cardboard, compost, frame my beds up, all that good stuff. And that's what I did here, and it's still, as you can see, plenty of weeds. Now I love the no-till. I have just unimaginable amounts of earthworms in my soil. When I start digging or doing anything to move any kind of soil to plug a plant in, I can just take my fingers and go finger deep, move a little soil just for the little, big enough for a cube from the 72 cell trays to go into, and I'll find worms in almost every single hole that I go to start planting. Big ones, babies, I mean just littering my soil just everywhere, tons of them. I like that about it, but I mean still, if someone's telling you, hey, do no-till because you won't ever have weeds again, they're lying to you. That is a lie. Some watermelons over here. And again, more weeds. Easy to manage, very easy to pull out by hand. That's what I've done to these other beds. And as you can see, I've still got a couple to do. Up there is done. But still weeds, guys. I was just watching those guys, their channels, Haas Tools. You should check them out. They got some really good videos. I watched one they just did on their no-till stuff and reasons they don't use it, because they got some people hating on their channel, I guess, not liking that they till and all that stuff. And they said that they have people commenting on how their soil's bare, they don't cover it and all this stuff. And well, if those people think by them doing that it's going to give them this amazing garden that's just so little input and all this stuff, you've been misled, or you're misleading people, and you shouldn't do that. And I'm telling you guys, I am straight up no-till. I do not till my soil. The most I will do is go through by hand and pull stuff. I don't even use hose in this garden. Nothing. Not even minimal tillage. But like I said, I still have a lot of weeds I gotta hand pick. So it's not work free. That might even make me have to work more than if I was to just take a tiller and run my tiller through here a couple times, maybe twice a month or something. That might make it easier. But like I said, I wouldn't have the earthworm populations I have, so I'm getting benefits from it, but it's also making certain aspects of it harder. My hugelkultur mound over here, this thing's pretty cool. I don't know if you guys, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but there's some really good videos on it. And I got some watermelons, and you can't really see because they're so little and my camera sucks, but I got tomatoes in there, and I just seeded a whole bunch of green beans. I think if I can go to the store and find any more onion starts, I'll probably get some more onion starts in there. I'm already out of onions to plant, and I really wish I had more, because I've got a ton of space left that I could be managing a lot better. And I haven't even started the gardens in the back as far as getting those plants in yet. Show you guys a little rundown of property. This garden back here, we had all this rain come in, and I was pretty surprised. All the leaves, I only put a little bit of compost on a certain small area. It's all I had time to get done. As you can see, I got some compost here just to kind of help hold leaves down. The rain washed a lot of it off, but oh, look, the cat. But yeah, the leaves still stayed in place pretty good. Now they got a good amount of water on them from all the rain, so they shouldn't blow around too easy. But even then, I had plastic on this bed all winter, almost all of summer last summer, and I pulled it back and I had live crabgrass underneath it still trying to grow. So like I said, I'm not really sure there is a complete weed-free method. You're always going to have to do something to maintain the weeds and keep them at bay. Even the people who run the landscape fabric. See that right there? That's been covered for almost a year, guys. I would say almost a year that crabgrass was covered, and it's still alive. Anyway, oh, the wife's knocking on the door. she's got to go to work here in a little bit, so I'm going to head in and hang out with her for the rest of the day till she runs to work. Then I'll be out here in the garden again. You guys have a good day. I just figured that'd be a little bit longer video than normal and a little more in-depth on what I'm doing. You guys ever have any questions, anything like that, just post them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them as quick as possible. You guys have a good day.